An intriguing research by experts here offers a fresh perspective in understanding the interplay between global warming and regional climate patterns, especially those of colder winters despite a warmer world. So are the winters here in Korea getting colder? How are researchers explaining this phenomenon? And what are the broader implications of the latest finding in shaping strategies against extreme weather events? Hope your work week is off to a good start. It's Monday here in Korea and you're watching Issues and Insiders. I'm Min Sunhee. Today we seek to understand a rather perplexing phenomenon of colder winters despite global warming. For this, I have Professor Yoon Jin-Ho at Gwangju Institute of Science and Technology live on the line. Professor Yoon, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you for having me.
I also have Dr. Sung Mi-Kyung at the Korea Institute of Science and Technology live on the line as well. Dr. Sung, it's a pleasure as well.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Dr. Sung, can we start off then with whether or not the reality is true? Are the winters here in Korea becoming colder? I mean, what is your assessment of Korea's winters in recent years?
Okay. In Korea, we are experiencing a relatively mild winter this year with occasional cold snaps. To gain a better understanding of the trend, it is necessary to examine longer-term data. I prepared a plot illustrating the number of days per winter per year when the daily low temperature dropped below minus 12 degrees Celsius. The data set spans from 1973 to 2023 and offers valuable insights into the evolution of winter cold spells over the past decades. Observing the plot, we can discern distinct trends. In the 1970s and the early 80s, Korea experienced cold days frequently, but the frequency decreased notably in the 90s. However, from the early 2000s onward, there's been a resurgence in the number of cold days, indicating a shift toward more frequent cold waves compared to the 1990s. It's worth noting that while this year's winter is warmer than normal, the overall trend suggests an uptick in cold spells in recent years.
Right, so the winters here in the country have been getting colder then. And Professor Yoon, I understand that the US has been exposed to life-threatening levels of cold in recent days. Could you tell us a bit more?
Sure. A few weeks back, actually, around the January 13th, 12th, that week, it went on for about a week. So the US and basically most part of the US experienced literally record low temperatures and life-threatening cold nights happens. So according to the National Weather Service, the wind chill, including wind chill, the temperature coming down to around minus 40 degrees, which is literally uncomfortable. So when you just go out without proper protection, you get some sort of problems. And also, with this cold weathers and wind chills and heavy snow and blizzard conditions happening across the Great Lakes regions, Midwest, and if you go a bit south, there's a heavy rainfall, the floodings are happening at the same time. So this particular event was recorded as the first Arctic outbreak, or in a technical term we call cold air outbreak. So the cold air from the Arctic just pushing down to south, so that the most part of the U.S. had been affected by this particular event.
Right. And that being said, Dr. Sung, I understand that your research seeks to answer the puzzling phenomenon of very cold winters, or colder winters that is, despite global warming in regions like here in East Asia, as well as in North America. Could you tell us a bit about your research and its findings?
Okay, thank you for asking my research. As I illustrated earlier, the variability of winter temperatures in mid-latitude regions may alter between decades. This decadal variation is attributed to influences of various factors within Earth's climate system, apart from global warming. Our study revealed that ocean circulation plays a pivotal role in driving these slow variations. Specifically, we identified the significant impact of ocean fronts. Oceanfront denotes the boundaries where cold and warm ocean currents converge, leading to sharp drops in temperature northward. Representative examples can be found from the Gulf Stream in the North Atlantic and the Kuroshio Current in the Pacific. What our research discovered is that heat accumulation within this oceanfront can profoundly affect regional winter temperatures downstream. For instance, as the Gulf Stream region experiences warming, it creates favorable background conditions to trigger cold surges over East Asia through atmospheric response. Importantly, this oceanic heat accumulation can persist over years to decades, elevating the frequency of cold waves in East Asia. Similarly, warming in the Pacific Ocean front amplifies the occurrence of cold waves in North America. This phenomenon creates a warming hiatus in continental regions, seemingly defying the global warming trend. However, this is just the result of redistribution of heat by oceanic and atmospheric circulations.
Right, I see, which then explains perhaps last week's temperatures here in Korea, where in some regions we had, with the wind chill factor going down to minus 20 degrees Celsius. Professor Yoon, what are your thoughts regarding these particular findings about, that is, Dr. Sung's research?
Why the winters in middle latitudes that include Korea and most part of the United States experience more the cold winter days is still a valid scientific question, meaning that we have some ideas, a few ideas actually. As Dr. Sung mentioned, that the oceanic frontal zones impact, that's one. Another school is thinking about the reducing Arctic sea ice. So as the global warms up, the Arctic sea ice reduce, Arctic warms up faster than the other places, and that could trigger. So that includes like oceanic frontal zones or whether that's the Arctic sea ice regions. It's all related to or caused by the global warmings, and then that triggers or initiate some sort of the atmospheric circulation patterns that could bring cold winters, including East Asia and North America. So we don't know exactly what is the main mechanism, but we do believe that this is kind of a side effect of the global warmings that brings some cold weather, cold winters where we are.
Professor Yoon? Right, I believe we've lost Professor Yoon's connection. So while we wait for him to be connected, perhaps I could turn back to Dr. Sung. While research is still, I'm sure, ongoing, Dr. Sung, for the time being, pundits claim that your findings will play a significant role in shaping the mid to long-term strategies to better respond to winter weather. What do you say? And also, Dr. Sung, what do you suggest as part of such strategies?
Okay, to answer this question, I'd like to introduce Decadal prediction, which aims to predict climate changes over the next 10 years. Decadal prediction is essential in supporting near-term climate change adaptation and mitigation. Severe climate extremes such as cold snaps and heat waves pose significant risks to communities and economies. Decadal prediction offers a crucial advantage by allowing time for the implementation of adaptive measures and infrastructure enhancements. Our identification of significant drivers influencing winter temperatures can help improve the predictive capabilities of climate models within the next decades. By integrating the long-range predictions into decision-making processes, we not only enhance our ability to adapt to changing winter weather, but also gain precious time to implement cost-effective measures that reduce vulnerability to climate extremes. As part of these strategies, I advocate for enhanced observation and monitoring of key oceanic parameters alongside the ongoing refinement of decadal prediction systems. These efforts are essential for providing decision makers with a reliable forecast and empowering them to proactively address climate risks.
Right, of course. And now, Professor Yoon, you were speaking earlier about how the colder winters here in East Asia and in North America may be owing to several factors, along with, of course, the results of Dr. Song's research. But moving now to possible strategies, Professor Yoon, what do you care to add with regard to efforts to ensure better preparation, that is, for extreme weather events?
So a few months back, when this winter started, as a professional habit, that we try to project ourselves, even though we don't do the operational forecast, whether this coming winter is going to be very cold or milder. But then we are kind of puzzled by a few factors. For example, this particular winter is El Nino, and also we have this background global warmings, which favors very mild winters. But at the same time, Dr. Sung's result, like Arctic frontal zones is very rapidly warming, and also Arctic Ocean is also warming as well. So meaning that could bring very cold winters. So in other words, we have two different factors, that one can bring very mild winters, or the other one can bring very cold winters. So these two are in a way competing like a tug wars. So if one is dominating, it's easy to forecast. But like these winters, as I can remember, those two are really comparable in terms of the magnitude or the impact to the Korean weathers. So meaning that if, as the winter goes for 3 months or so on, if one is dominant, we are going to experience a very milder winters or warmer winters. But the other one is dominating, then we are experiencing very severe and very cold days. So it's like so based on those, we kind of think that we are experiencing very, very strong variation of the weathers. Can be very warm on 1 week, can be very cold the other weeks. And for next few years, minimum a few years or even more, we are experiencing such winters, meaning that it's going to be very difficult to forecast. But one way or the other, we are experiencing some cold weathers at the same time, or just following week is going to be warm and switch back and forth like that.
Right, so we'll see very extreme shifts from either a warm winter or to a very cold winter then. Dr. Song, earlier on, Professor Yoon mentioned global warming and climate change. What do you believe would be perhaps the most visible or most severe consequence of climate change for Korea in the near future?
My question is a bit similar to Professor Yoon's. When considering upcoming changes, it is important to note the current state in the Gulf Stream. Recent observations indicate a shift in this front region, namely anomalous heat accumulation over the past few decades appears to be transitioning into a relaxation phase. This shift suggests that winter temperatures in Korea may lean toward more frequent occurrences of unseasonably warm weather in the next decade. However, it's crucial to consider that East Asian winter climate is also significantly influenced by the Siberian high, which brings sudden outbreaks of cold surges. The interplay between these forcing components may lead to wider fluctuations in winter weather in the near future. In my view, this winter is a remarkable example of such anticipation. Last December, we have witnessed the dramatic fluctuations in daily weather patterns, such as unseasonable winter hail in Busan and widespread heavy rains across the country. These occurrences might offer insight into what we may experience in the next decade.
And staying with such experiences, Professor Yoon, some say climate change is causing a pothole plague, and capital Seoul here, it's no exception. Could you explain this phenomenon for us?
So just following up on my early point and Dr. Sung's points, that because we are experiencing very cold days plus snow, and that means the road can be freezing or frozen. But then the following week is going to be very warm, meaning that it went right away. So that causes these damages to the concrete or the asphalt. And then, of course, number of cars and number of passengers, the traffic has been increasing from like 10 years ago. So meaning that we have many laws to maintain, but at the same time, the weather just didn't help in this particular sense. So, as a short-term solution, we have to come up some sort of engineering solutions like making our asphalt become more stronger or more resilient to this type of very rapidly changing weathers. We do need to test more, that sort of things. So of course the long-term solution is different, but as a short-term, that really affecting our lives in many aspects. So we have to come up some sort of ways to prevent these potholes happenings. If it happens also, that we have to find a way to fix it sooner than later.
Right, of course, to ensure public safety as well. Dr. Sung, what can you tell us about your future research plans for this year?
I appreciate for this question. It's crucial to acknowledge the concerns among climate scientists regarding the recent acceleration of global warming. This year, 2024, may reach another record high global mean temperature following the 2023, temporarily surpassing the critical 1.5-degree threshold outlined in the Paris Agreement. This underscores the urgent need for climate scientists to delve deeper into understanding the Earth's climate system. Building on my recent work, my upcoming research will focus on investigating how heat accumulation in the ocean front interact with the accelerated global warming. Additionally, I aim to explore how this knowledge can be utilized to enhance decadal predictability in more detail. Through these investigations, I hope to contribute to a more comprehensive understanding of the mechanisms driving climate extremes, ultimately informing adaptation and mitigation strategies for a more resilient future. Thank you.
Right, of course. And once your results are out, hopefully you'll join us again to share those results with us. Professor Yoon, in the meantime, what are your words of advice perhaps to our viewers, like individuals out there in society, about ways to better deal with climate change?
My answer is always that we have to come up more strategic approaches. There's a long-term and also international effort has to go. So meaning we really have to reduce the CO2 emissions. But at the same time, in the midterm and the short terms, we have to reduce the damages to our lives, casualties. We have to find a way to better cope with the upcoming changes. So meaning like find some engineering solution for potholes, or we upgrade our emergency response systems to, just to cope with those things. So just have to stretch in a way that, summary is strategize our approaches, long terms, mid terms, short terms, and then we just have to do one thing at a time. Hopefully that will, we can get to the next stage in our lives.
Right, of course, by taking action then. Professor Yoon, as always, thank you so much for your time and your thoughts. And Dr. Sung, thank you very much for being with us, and good luck with your future research.
Thank you.
Well, that is all the time we have for this edition of Issues and Insiders. Thank you for watching. Be sure to join us again, same time tomorrow.